There we go. Good. It's 5:30. I'll call the meeting to order. Our first item is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome everyone to tonight's Marshall School Board meeting. Sarah, could you read our mission statement?
The mission of the Marshall Public School District is to educate, support, and prepare all learners for success.
Thank you. Our next item is to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second?
There's a motion by Jeff and a second by Sarah Runcie to approve our agenda. Any additions or corrections? If not, I will call for the vote. And the agenda is approved. Our next item is our student recognitions. That's why the room is full. So welcome to all of you. This is something we started a little over a year ago to we recognize a student from each building. So how we do this is your students, when you hear your name, I want you to stand so we all know who you are, and each one of us is going to read a short bio of you. So we'll start with Mary.
Elizabeth Hasty. Way in the back. Hi, Elizabeth. From Parkside, Elizabeth Hasty was nominated by Mrs. Hoppy. Ellie is so deserving of this award. She has worked so hard this year on improving both her reading and writing skills. Ellie takes her time with her writing to ensure she's forming her letters correctly, adding spaces between her words, and using the handwriting lines, sorry about that, and stretching the sounds in each word to do her best with spelling. She focuses on her illustrations to go with her writing and is so proud of her work each day. She is always wanting to share the great things that she's been doing. Ellie is determined to do her best work each and every day. Keep up the good work, Miss Ellie.
And I forgot to mention, when we're done, if all the students could meet back there along that white wall, we're going to take your picture. So, okay, Sarah.
All right, next up from Southview, we have Mu Pa Wa. She was nominated by Mrs. Speakman. Mu Pa is a shining example of positivity, determination, and kindness. She has embraced every challenge with an unwavering smile and a strong desire to learn. Her positivity is contagious, and her enthusiasm brings joy to everyone around her. Mupa's academic growth has been remarkable. She works hard and consistently strives to absorb new information and expand her knowledge. It's inspiring to see her confidence grow alongside her skills, especially in the language department. In addition to her academic accomplishments, Mupa is respectful, kind-hearted, and always willing to lend a helping hand. She stands out as a supportive friend to all her peers, but her special bond with new-to-country classmates deserves special mention. Mupa goes out of her way to make them feel welcome and included, showing empathy and compassion in everything she does. It is a privilege to have Mupa in my third grade class. I'm excited to see all the wonderful things she will achieve as she continues to grow.
And from the middle school, Jax Worsher. Nominated by Mrs. Link, Mrs. Bonart, Mrs. Victor, Mrs. Tolk, and Mrs. Altide. We wanted to take a moment to share how impressed we are with Jax. He is a super helpful student who consistently works hard to complete his work on time and to the best of his ability. His creativity and support for his classmates truly exemplify Tiger Pride. He is well organized and holds himself accountable for any missed work when he is absent. His politeness and respect toward both staff and peers make him a joy to have in the classroom. Every day, Jack gives 100% effort in his classes and is always ready to assist his classmates. His kindness, honesty, and dedication are commendable, and we are grateful to have him as part of our learning community at the Marshall Middle School. Congratulations, Jack.
And I have the high school, Powerful Paw, nominated by Miss Jensen. Powerful is an outstanding ninth grade student who exemplifies hard work, kindness, and respect. His dedication to his academics is evident in his consistent effort and conscientiousness. He uses time in class to get his work done and will ask for help if needed. His assignments are turned in on time and are of good quality. He is respectful, polite, and treats others with kindness and patience. Powerful comes to class every day with a positive attitude, a good work ethic, and a desire to learn. I am lucky to have him in my class and look forward to seeing him achieve the goals he has for himself.
From the ALC, Anya Slenner, nominated by Mrs. Dove. Since joining the online program through Marshall Public Schools, Anya has displayed many characteristics of a successful student. Anya demonstrates excellent time management skills, hard work ethic, and self-advocacy. She is continually on track or ahead in all her classes. She reaches out to her teachers when she needs additional help and utilizes educational resources in the community. Her hard work shines through with the success she is having in the online program. Anya's work ethic and resilience shown through the online program makes her a perfect student for recognition. Marshall ALC is grateful to have Anya in our online program.
Well, students, if you want to meet back by the wall there, we're going to take a couple pictures of you. And parents, if you want to come take some pictures this time, you're welcome to do so as well. Mr. Coleman has a certificate for each of you as well.
Congratulations.
We have tagged up Rick, I see a couple in the hall. Do they know there's chairs up here? I just see Donna and Dan out there. I don't know. Do they realize there's chairs if they want to come in?
That's great.
And she doesn't want to give it. She wants to be there. Expectations.
Let's give them one more hand. Parents, you are all welcome to stay, but we won't be offended if you leave either.
Congratulations. Glad it's going well.
Thank you.
The next item is the public forum. Is there anybody from the public want to approach the board? Welcome. We just ask you to state your name.
My name is Russ Labatt. I've been a lifelong resident of Marshall. I'm now retired. I also work for the school and doing crossing guards for the last 2.5, 3 years. But my purpose today is just to make you aware of a couple of things. About back when I was working, when I was traveling, I went to Sioux Falls on a weekly basis. Their school zone over there is probably 2 blocks prior to the school and 2 blocks after the school. If you get caught in one of those zones speeding, it's double the fine. And in fact, I got stopped one time. I don't remember if it was 15 mile an hour or 20 mile an hour or whatever, but I was going 3 miles over. Cop stopped me and I didn't get a ticket. And he said, you know, you were speeding. It was on the back side of the school. I mean, not entering the zone, but on the back side. He says, you know, you were speeding. And I said, I guess I wasn't aware of it. I wasn't aware of the signs. For that purpose, I bring out the school zone out here in the middle school. The school zone, if any of you have been out there, the sign is placed before the bus exit. Doesn't make a bit of sense to me. I mean, I called Jason Anderson at the city. He said it's MnDOT. MnDOT put it that way. So I also called him about the speed. When I'm doing crossing guard on Saratoga and C Street, in the morning, I can look down and see the flashing sign. And the RFBs are great. And I know you're probably going to put another one up on East Main and A Street. Mm-hmm. Speed zone. 95% of the people are not going 20 miles an hour. 95%. The top this year has been 41 miles an hour. Most of them are going 32 to 37. And I can see that sign flashing from my point, my vantage point at the intersection. Not all of them, because I'm once in a while helping the kids cross. But when I look down there and that sign is flashing, it's 27, it's 28, it's 30, it's 31. Like I said, 41 was the top. I'm not asking you to do anything. I'm just saying you've got to be aware of it. I see parents every morning, coffee, donuts, whatever the case would be, on their phone. I mean, the cops could go have a field day stopping traffic out there. They really could. Because like I said, probably 65, 70% of the people are either on their phone or eating or doing something differently. It's too bad. I bring it up now. I wanted to come before this board earlier this year, but I bring it up now because spring is right around the corner. Days like we had Friday and today. The kids in the middle school, when they get on their bikes, they don't necessarily come down to C Street, or they don't go down to Southview Saratoga or James, I think is the other one. They'll cross right in the middle of the street, right under the middle of Saratoga. They'll hop on their bike and they'll shoot right across. I see it every day. Now I'm talking to and by the way, I have a great boss here. Jill is absolutely fantastic. I mean, my wife and I could call her and say we need a sub tomorrow morning, and she's there. I mean, and we absolutely love her. She takes care of us very well. But she also says the speeding problem is on Southview Drive, because she has subbed over there and she has seen cars. I mean, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I don't know if we can, I mean, once in a while the cops will be there. They flick on their lights, they'll stop one person. Boy, all of a sudden everything slows down. I'm not asking them to be there every morning. I'm not asking there to be once a week. I'm just saying, make you aware of it. I don't know what you can do if you send out a note to all the parents. If that's going to do any good, you might sometimes probably talking to the wall, but I just wanted to make you aware of it, and I appreciate everything that you can do. I really like the kids, and on a positive note, I mean, I was down on the four-way stop when I first started doing crossing guard, and I told everybody that I talked to, what are you doing on crossing guard? I said, I have never met so many polite kids in my entire life. And that's a compliment to the teachers, to you folks and everything, because, you know, to have a little second grader, third grader, you watch them, thank you, good morning, thank you. And I hear this, I don't want to say anything bad, but last year the middle school kids were a little bit of more of a challenge. This year it's like somebody turned the light on, because they'll wait for me, I'll hold up my sign, I keep traffic going. Some of you have come up to my corner and I stop traffic quite a bit to let the buses keep moving and stuff. But it's been a great experience for me. I wish more people could take advantage of the crossing guard, but that's enough of my time. I've taken my excess of 3 minutes, so I just wanted to make you aware of it, and
right.
thank you.
Thanks, Russ.
Any questions? Okay.
Thanks for all you do, Russ.
Anybody else? All right, our next item is a presentation on our policy 620. Mr. Jones.
So we asked Brian to come and speak a little bit about policy 620, about some grading practices that are in policy and some changes that have taken place within legislation from last year, and just talking about what that means and what we might have to do to line our policy to the statute.
Thanks for having me. First mistake that I noticed, it's not MHS policy, it's MPS policy. And I sat down and started looking at this, and so, yeah, old habit, I guess. And so I want to just take a few minutes and just update folks on a recent state statute that has occurred, a change from last legislative session. And this was in regards to the PSEO law. And it's what really the only change is that this law change requires equal weighting of concurrent enrollment classes. We call that CIS, College in the Schools, and PSEO courses that went into effect for the 24-25 school year. So went into effect this fall. And I'll talk just a little bit about that in a moment, but I wanted to first provide the board with a little bit of history on weighted grades at Marshall High School. And so when we talk about weighted grades are an additional half of one grade point, so an additional 0.5 of a grade point for certain classes that at Marshall High School have been deemed to be higher in rigor or workload, or more, just generally more difficult. And that was started prior to my arrival back in 1999 for our advanced placement program as a way to encourage students to stretch themselves and take classes that would be more challenging without having perhaps a lower grade having a negative impact on their grade point average. And so for the past 25 years with our advanced placement program, weighted grades have been a part of that. Back in 2008, Marshall High School started working with SMSU and their concurrent enrollment program and a few other post-secondary institutions throughout the years. And so at that time, some of our classes, the decision was made by the Marshall High School faculty that those should be weighted. Not all have been weighted over the years, some have not. One example of that, of a course that has not been weighted, was when we were at Maytech, and we worked with Minnesota West on the welding program. That was a production course, and so the grades in that course received the same weight as other grades at Marshall High School and not weighted. Our career internship, I know many of you come every spring and every winter and see the internship. Those classes have been, for the past several years, we have aligned those with some credit with Minnesota West. Those have not been weighted credit because of the nature of the work that the students do in the internship. And so we say some classes, but not all. And then back in 2017, with post-secondary, high school administration came to the school board and said, we think we need to take a look at this policy 620 and maybe create a process for some students, and some classes that are considered post-secondary that maybe are exceeding the rigor and the workload of what our advanced placement classes at Marshall High School are. And so we worked with the board and created a process to put in place for consideration of approval for PSEO classes to possibly have that opportunity to be weighted. And so that process was students would petition high school administration. We would request course documents, the syllabi, and some other things. We would get that. We would take that to that particular department. We would review. We would take a look. They would provide me with a recommendation. We would make a decision, and then at the end of the college semester, we have been notifying those students of which courses did receive and which courses did not receive the weighted credit. And that's been in place since 2017, every fall and every spring. And that's what we were using until last spring when the legislature made this change and went to sort of this blanket statewide type of approach. So the change that was made was to state statute 124D.09, and I've got the change that was highlighted. And that says that a school board must adopt an identical policy regarding weighted grade point averages for credits earned via both secondary coursework as it gives to credits earned via concurrent enrollment coursework. And so that was the line item change. And we were aware of that, and we felt like we were in compliance with that. And for instance, we offer, as an example, a concurrent enrollment class, freshman college composition, English 151. Students take that. It's concurrent enrollment. We've weighted it. Students choose to take that identical course at the college. We weight that. And so we felt like we were in compliance. Over the past probably 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks, we've had a recent parental inquiry about this, about our with the Department of Education and about our grade weighting policy. And we have this listed on our website now that shows part of that says you have to show which classes are weighted. We have that up there, and that is on there. So Mr. Williams and myself had some meetings with the Department of Ed, with Minnesota School Board Association, and District Legal Counsel. And essentially, the Department of Ed says said they felt like our interpretation of identical weighting was incorrect and said we now need to weight all post-secondary classes taken, regardless of where they might be taken at or what class it might be that the student is taking. And so we need to become in compliance with that. And so for the 24-25 school year, we are awaiting all concurrent enrollment classes, even ones that we previously haven't because policy 620 said we would, and all PSEO courses taken in the 24-25 school year. So SMSU, Midwest, Ridgewater, and any other accredited post-secondary institution in the state of Minnesota. And so that's a change for this year that's going to deviate from what has been done in the past. And so we wanted to make sure that the school board was aware of that. We also need to think about the future, and we've got really 3 options that we'll ask the school board to consider in upcoming meetings. And so option 1 is to stay the course and continue to weight classes in our advanced placement program, our concurrent enrollment classes, our college in the schools, and all PSEO classes, regardless of the class, and apply this statewide blanket policy across. And that would require no change to School Board Policy 620. Option 2 would be to eliminate all grade weighting. Local districts have the ability to decide which, in schools, which classes they might want to weight. With this change to PSEO, if we chose not to weight concurrent enrollment classes, we do not then would be required or have to weight any post-secondary enrollment PSEO class. So we think, as we've talked about it with our site leadership team and we've talked about it with our faculty and gathered input from their perspective, we think there could be some advantages in option 2, and that might bring us more in line with what many high schools in the state are doing. I would say weighting grades, schools that weight grades are probably in the minority. Now, if you said, are we talking 60-40, 70-30? I don't think I could tell you that. But as I talk to other principals from around the state, it's probably sort of a 2-to-1, so I would tend to think maybe a 60-40 split. Again, when I talk to schools and ask why do you do that, they do it to try to incentivize their students to take some of the most academically rigorous classes that they have in their school. If we were to do option 2, we think there could be some challenges, and our teachers, and I would agree, who are teach advanced placement classes, we would be concerned about a possible enrollment, that students might choose not to challenge themselves to that level and take some of those most challenging classes that we have because they want to sort of ensure that they have the highest grade point average that they can possible. And in the end, we feel like then they're losing out because they're not being as fully prepared as they can be when they leave us and go on to post-secondary ed. We think possibly then we could see an increase in more students pursuing post-secondary, which would obviously have a greater budgetary impact on our budget, along with a loss of course choice at Marshall High School. And so I think one of the things that the high school staff takes a lot of pride in is being able to offer a wide array of coursework for our students, from career-based and career and technical to high academic advanced work. And so having course choice, we feel like, is something that's very important. Option 2 would require a change to policy 620 by the school board to consider. Another option, option 3, would be to weight advanced placement courses, but not weight concurrent enrollment courses. And if we don't weight concurrent enrollment, then we would not have to weight PSEO courses. Advanced placement is ran by the College Board. That's the same folks who administer the SAT. And so the Department of Education does not have rulemaking authority over how schools would choose to weight advanced placement. Some advantages there is sort of returning back to, the 1999 or pre-1999 model that we had at Marshall High School, where students are in the AP courses do receive weight. The big difference is for an AP class, the difference in an advanced placement and a concurrent enrollment. Advanced placement, students receive college credit if they score generally a 3 or higher on the national exam, which is administered across the country on one single day in the spring. Concurrent enrollment, students receive college credit based on the work they produce over the duration of the semester. They're different programs. They have different ways for students to get college credit. I'm not going to stand here and say that I think one is better than the other. I think they both serve their purpose. We were in an interview today and the candidate asked, why do you do both? And we think that that diversification is really important to have and to continue to have. So we want to keep both programs for our students healthy and growing. So if we were, this would require an update to the state statute, but because we would not weight CIS, therefore the sort of the resulting effect would be that we no longer would have the option to weight PSEO classes or the blanket weighting of PSEO courses. That would be eliminated.
Just to clarify, Brian,
Yes.
an update to policy 620, not to the state statute.
Sorry, thank you. Yeah.
We can't
We
change
don't
state
change state statute. You're right. So updating policy 620. Perhaps. But I think even with option 3, there's some challenges that we might possibly need to consider, and that could be the loss of concurrent enrollment. A student might say, I'm not going to take those challenging classes because I don't want it to have a negative impact on my grade point average. Again, the students would still get the college credit, but if we have an enrollment decrease in CIS, we could see, maybe we see an increase in our advanced placement, which is a good thing. We might see an increase in PSEO. We just don't know with some of these changes. But option 3 would require a change to policy 620. As we think about how does this affect students when they leave us and they graduate, some colleges base their scholarships on unweighted grade point average. Some colleges base their awarding of scholarships on weighted grade point averages. And so while one student might want to go to a specific institution, it could benefit them. Another student going to a different institution, it might have just the opposite impact on them, whether we weight or unweight. We keep track of both and weighted and unweighted, and then we send transcripts to those universities based on what system they operate in. I don't see that changing unless we went to option 2 and we eliminated all weighted grading, and then we would just supply those schools with the unweighted grades. So again, input's been gathered from our concurrent enrollment teachers, our advanced placement, our SLT. We've talked about it at a faculty meeting. I've asked for feedback to just see, are there other things that we should be considering to bring to the board? Because we know we are going to need to, we either need to address it or we stay the course and continue to weight all of those classes. Questions that you have?
What is the feeling from the faculty on whether we should weight them or weight them all or not weight them at all?
Well, if it's a straw poll, I would say I've heard from more people who feel like option 3 is probably in the best interest of our students, because the advanced placement, just by taking that course, you're not guaranteed that credit. By taking the concurrent enrollment, if you pass the class, you have that credit. So they feel like, I think most would say with advanced placement, there's a little bit more of a risk for students to take those courses. And by weighting advanced placement courses, we might still see students choosing to enroll and take those. None of them are perfect, and I'll just say that. And I've had a staff member talk to me, and I think people tend to get more concerned about what happens after they leave us in terms of scholarships that are awarded by those colleges and universities. And again, it seems to be about 50-50 who accepts weighted grades in college and who accepts unweighted grades.
I really think that this was an unintended consequence of the legislative change, given how it came to be. So anybody who wants to contact their legislators, contact them, tell them this is the impact. This is the direct impact that has on a district like ours and our students. I think option one is a very difficult one because we're inviting more complaints based on the interpretation of the statute that's been provided. And unfortunately, it is going to come down to that 2 or 3 to come before the board.
We had a process in place that allowed us to look at each situation based on its own merit and really try to make the best decision, and really trying to do so with the idea of maintaining academic rigor and academic integrity. In 2017, there were not a lot of online classes that were available. And so now we see enrollment from students from a variety of places post-secondary, and it's hard for us to ensure, are they able to, work on this at home and score really well? And just, it creates a lot of things that we have no control over. And so then applying this, when the statute changed and it became a blanket policy, quite honestly, it feels like it's tied our hands on something that our district has felt like has worked well with the process we had in place, and that's been stripped from us. And it's been a sort of, again, a blanket policy that's been laid over the whole state.
I do think Sarah's right. I think contacting legislators is a good idea. I don't think it was an intended consequence, but one that we need to decide what we're going to do going forward. So our plan is that we will be working with the exec committee, and Brian and I will obviously have more communication with the feedback that you get from teachers. We'll be drafting a update to policy 620 to bring forward, starting for first reading as early as the next meeting.
Thank you.
Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
Our next presentation is from the technology team. Welcome, Todd.
All right, thank you for allowing us to give you a technology update tonight. My name is Todd Pickthorn. I'm the District Technology Coordinator. Our agenda for tonight includes a security update. K-12 education continues to be a major target for cyber attacks. So we'll discuss measures we're taking to reduce those risks. We'll highlight some data from our annual technology survey. We'll discuss education insights from the Driving K-12 Innovation Report. And we will get an artificial intelligence update from Karen. So this slide is talking a little bit about some of the measures that we use when we try to secure our environment. We use a lot of Microsoft tools to ensure our identity. So one of the things is Microsoft's Secure Score for Identity. It's a score that compares security best practices from Microsoft to our configuration and compares us to similar organizations. So some of the recommendations to improve this score, for example, would be to implement multi-factor authentication along with location-based controls. From this slide, you can see that our Secure Score for Identity is about close to 72%. The typical 1,001 to 10,000 person company is about 51%. This gets updated daily. It's just a snapshot of what I took here on 3/13. On the right is our exposure score. This reviews all applications running on the network. and compares that to known vulnerabilities and recommends patching required to improve this score. Notice the spikes on the exposure secure graph. Those are related to application vulnerabilities that are then patched. So for example, here, you'll notice 3.9. Microsoft calls this Patch Tuesday. They usually come out with patches on the second Tuesday of the month, and our secure score or exposure score goes way up at that time, and then we have automatic tools in place to patch systems. But it takes time to patch 3,500 devices, so that's why that takes time. It's actually down below, I think it's 19 today, so it's kind of keeping that balanced and in check. And having a tool that can monitor this for us is really important. So on this slide, CISA is a branch of the Department of Homeland Security. CISA makes available a program called Cyber Hygiene that scans our external IP addresses for vulnerabilities and risks. In conjunction with this service, our cyber insurance provider also monitors our network. If you look here, we have 0 hosts with unsupported software, 0 potentially risky open services, and 0 change. This, we get a report weekly from CISA that monitors that information for us. We have seen some things on there before, and they give us steps to correct them and make it more secure. So these are a couple of examples of things that we're doing to improve our security. In a recent FCC cybersecurity pilot program made available through the FCC, there was $200 million available in a grant program. There was over $3.7 billion worth of requests coming from K-12 education for this grant program. So there is a definite need for enhanced security in K-12 education. This next slide, I'm going to talk about our annual technology survey that we do. We used a product called FilterEd ILT. It was recently implemented in Marshall Public Schools to gauge the pulse of our technology ecosystem. It identifies strengths and perceived gaps that hinder optimal performance. By understanding our current state, we can plan for future growth. FilterEd ILT analyzes the data and displays results in 6 gauges measuring capacity levels. Scores range from 0 to 100%. Each gauge represents a key component of our ecosystem, providing a quick view of strengths and challenges before diving into specifics. The 6 different categories are at the bottom here: leadership and vision, resources, technology infrastructure, instruction and learning, practice and implementation, and learner impact. So in this slide, we compare the scores in each one of those 6 categories to the national average. And I was happy to see that we exceeded the national average in every one of those ILT measurements. This particular survey correlates these scores with national frameworks such as ISTE standards for students and ISTE standards for educators, to name a couple. So it is a good comparison to national standards that are out there. So this slide is pretty busy. Each year, the Consortium for School Networking, or COSN, produces a document that aims to address the challenges of making smart, strategic decisions to transform learning experiences and environments and preparing students to thrive in a digital world. COSN's Driving K-12 Innovation Initiative convenes an international advisory board of approximately 130-plus education and technology experts to select the most important hurdles or challenges. This year's hurdles identified by that group are digital equity, evolution of teaching and learning, and attracting and retaining educators and IT professionals. The accelerators, which they refer to as mega trends. This year's accelerators are changing attitudes towards demonstrated learning, building the human capacity of leaders, and learner agency. And the tech enablers are the tools that drives K-12 innovation for the year ahead. This year's tech enablers are untethered broadband and connectivity, analytics and adaptive technologies, and last but not least is generative artificial intelligence. This year's advisory board included representatives from 13 countries and 34 states. I was one of 2 Minnesota representatives invited to participate in this advisory board for this publication. The link to the publication is at the bottom here. It's a roughly 42-page document that kind of goes through each one of these in a lot more details, but it was fun to be part of that. There was a lot of heavy thought involved in producing this document and coming up with these different topics. So I was proud to be part of that. So turn this over to Karen.
Thank you, Todd, for all you do.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Karen Lundgren, and I am the district's digital learning coach. And tonight I'll be sharing some information with you as far as where we are currently as a district using artificial intelligence. AI remains one of the top resources that schools are working to implement. I feel here at Marshall Public Schools, we are currently in a very good place with AI usage in our district. We're one of the first schools in the region to develop and implement guidelines surrounding artificial intelligence use by our staff and students, as well as providing a student-facing AI tool that provides guardrails for them to work within. We continue to encourage, support, and train our teachers to use AI tools to help facilitate the classroom as far as resources such as developing lessons, activities, providing differentiation and translation of content in a safe and secure environment. Last school year, we evaluated many different artificial intelligence resources, trying to determine what was going to work best in our environment for our staff and students, and a resource that would meet the laws and the guidelines surrounding student data privacy. We narrowed our focus to just a couple of tools, as AI can become pretty overwhelming, and found those to be most applicable in our environment. Tonight I'll be focusing on one of those tools. Our primary AI resource that we use is called Magic School. It's a leading AI platform across the world with 5 million education users. It provides a safe and secure platform which ensures our student data privacy. This resource can also help teachers create engaging and interactive lessons, along with the ability to quickly and easily differentiate a lesson, translate content to another language, and to meet students' varying needs. Magic School contains a library of over 80 tools or templates for teachers to use, so it's very robust. These templates prompt the user to enter applicable information that they need, for example, a topic, a grade level, potentially a state standard they can build a lesson off of. And that helps to provide the most effective results. In January of 2024, we implemented the enterprise version of Magic School. This resource provides a powerful set of AI tools that can be used to streamline the teacher work and enhance their teaching. It's been likened to a teacher assistant or an instructional coach. Magic School is also a very friendly user environment, so the learning curve is small and produces great results and saves teachers a great deal of time. New this year, however, we've begun vetting Magic Student tools. Magic Student is a part of Magic School, and we've started with grades 7 through 12, which we felt for the first year that was a good starting point for us. Magic Student is optional. It's a tool that teachers can choose to distribute to students in their classroom, and it's in a teacher-controlled environment. The environment is also very transparent to the teachers. The teachers control the tools that the students have accessibility to, and the teachers also see all the interaction that the students do with the AI tools within that room. Without the enterprise version, we would not be able to provide those tools to our students. So I thank you for your support with that. And with the support of Mr. Jones, last fall, we had all of our high school students complete an introductory artificial intelligence course, which provided a very level playing field and a good base for our students to go into starting to use AI tools. Some of the student tools include Research Assistant, a writing feedback tool, Raina, which is a generic chatbot in the Magic School system, and many more. There's approximately 50 tools available for students. For professional development, we continue offering ongoing support and training surrounding AI for our teachers throughout the course of the school year, adapting to what the staff needs. And this includes face-to-face training sessions, a newsletter, information or updates, and one-to-one coaching. Our district has also developed defined guidelines surrounding the use of artificial intelligence for staff and students, which is an addendum in our digital learning handbook, which I believe is on your agenda for this evening as well. These guidelines are reviewed annually and updated as needed. In all of the trainings and communication that I work with staff on, I do stress that they work within some basic best practices. Those best practices are listed here. Checking for bias and accuracy. Artificial intelligence is known to create bias and inaccurate information. So the human component in using AI is very important to verifying the information. We encourage an 80-20 approach, and what that means is use artificial intelligence for 80% of your work, and the other 20% personalize it to make it your own. So essentially you're using 80% for like a draft work, and then 20% personalizing it. Judgment matters. Again, AI is a great starting point, but it's not a finished product. And know the limits of your AI. While AI resources continue to improve, there are still limits as far as various AI tools, what they're trained on, and their level of knowledge and how up to date they are. So again, there the human component again is very important. And of utmost importance, kind of tying back to Todd's security piece as well, is protecting our privacy. And we strongly encourage staff and students not to enter any personally identifiable information into any AI resource or any resource on the internet altogether, just to keep them safe. So I'd like to share with you some of the statistics surrounding our Magic School use. And we started with, like I said, with Magic School Enterprise version in January of 2024. And you can see the February 2024 had a very big jump, and we did a lot of training that month on Magic School with our staff. Then it kind of leveled off for the remainder of the school year, and by nature dropped through the summer months. I was very impressed with August's usage, considering we only have staff in the building for probably 2 weeks at the most in August, so we had really good usage coming back to school. And that stayed pretty steady for September, October, November, December, because of the holidays, you know, you expect a drop off. Picked up good again in January, but in February of '24, we had our highest usage ever by staff. This particular graph shows the top tool usage by teachers. And again, remember there's 80+ plus tools in there that they can pick from to use. These tools, or I consider them templates because they tend to prompt the teachers for what information they want to get the best results that they can possibly get. The top tool came out to be Raina, which Raina is Magic School's version of ChatGPT. So it's just a generic chatbot. However, with Raina, she is not based on just one source of information. It uses multiple sources of information across the internet from multiple AI resources to provide the best possible and most up-to-date information. And then this chart shows the top tool usage by our students so far this year. And the top one is a character chatbot. And the character chatbot, for example, a student could use that if they're studying U.S. history. And they could actually have a one-on-one chat with a historical figure. So that one shows the most popular, and then Raina, again, is highly used by students. But one I do really want to highlight, because I think this one has such strong potential, is writing feedback. And I want to talk about writing feedback just a little bit. This tool allows students to copy and paste a writing into the tool, and it gives them feedback on the strengths of their writing, suggestions for improvement, and how to make that improvement. It doesn't do the writing for them, and Raina won't do the writing for them either, because she's in an educational environment, and if a student asks Raina, will you write me a 500-word page on a certain topic, Raina's response will be, I'm sorry, I cannot do that for you. So again, a very safe, very good environment for our students to be using the artificial intelligence tools. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you, Karen.
Finally, our team really wants to extend our gratitude for your support in leading these cutting-edge technologies for our students. Thank you.
Thanks, Karen. Thanks, Todd.
Thank you.
Our next item is the consent agenda. I will need a motion.
So moved. Second.
There's a motion by Sarah Runcie and a second by Sarah Brink to approve the consent agenda. I will call for the vote.
I have nothing. Okay. Should I sync first? Just a moment, sorry. There we go.
There it is.
And that is approved. Next item is the treasurer's report. Any questions or comments? If not, we'll move on to the approval of the bills for February. I will entertain a motion.
I'll second.
A motion by myself and seconded by Jeff to approve the bills for February. Any further discussion? I will call for the vote. And that is approved. Next item is board reports or updates. Any reports from the board?
Before tonight's meeting, the Finance Committee had a meeting. We went through, again, the budget presentation that was started at our last meeting, talking about what that means for our district in terms of cuts and savings and other revenue sources, and also began a conversation about what other ways we have available to us, whether it be an operating levy or a capital levy, referendum request to our community.
I have a couple. The Pride in the Tiger Foundation, they met last week for their monthly meeting. They finished up their, I believe, their second round of teacher impact grants. There was some discussion about how they get the word out to a wider range of teachers that those grants are available, so they get taken advantage of. And then the student scholarship deadline, that was March 10th, so that'll be the next step. So their committee will go through that, and that ceremony will be held on May 14th. And then the safety committee, they also met. They did a mock OSHA inspection that was done through the whole district. So basically, they just kind of, rather than having, the OSHA comes in and they're not prepared, no, they have this mock inspection done. There really wasn't anything major, just some housekeeping items, and that was good.
Anyone else? Thank you, Sarah and Sarah. Moving on to superintendent's report. Jeremy.
Busy month in the district again. It's been a lot of things going on. Start with my report. I just want to talk about the budget a little bit again. Looking at preliminary figures, I'm with the revised budget done, certainly spending some time planning for the future. This year alone, with the deficit we're looking at and no indication of real significant changes in revenues going forward, are following the board's direction with some reductions for next year. So rolling that out to staff this week. We have some listening sessions scheduled with staff to talk about those. They'll also be rolled out to the community within the next week. We'll roll that same presentation out to share there. And obviously, we've met with staff that are directly impacted by that. Still, there'll be deficit spending this year. And going forward, just maintaining our current staffing levels, class sizes, student supports, it's going to be increasingly difficult. So as Sarah mentioned, Finance Committee, we talked about what that's going to look like. Operating referendum that we had in place before was a $675 per pupil unit operating referendum that expired in 2018. We haven't had anything in place since that time. Knowing that most districts in the state do fund relying on that, we're going to need to have some conversation about how we continue to provide our critical services. In the fall of 22, the community said the time wasn't right then, so we just are going to need to have some conversations about what that looks like going forward for us. Going on to Parkside, February was I Love to Read month, and Darcy says it is arguably one of the most exciting months at Parkside. I Love to Read month is a bonus and another opportunity to expand and reinforce students' love of reading. A lot of fun things taking place. I think in her report she shows the Thing 1 and Thing 2 and Cat in the Hat visiting classrooms and all sorts of that kind of fun stuff happening there. She also shares that they've had visits from Junior Achievement again this year, some volunteers. She talks about what Junior Achievement does. Their purpose is to inspire and prepare young people to succeed in a global economy. We're really grateful to have the opportunity to have these volunteers come in our schools and share information about fiscal responsibility with our kids. Looking forward to April, Parkside and Early Childhood and the PTA are working together. They're sponsoring a free family concert for families with young children, infants, and all the way through elementary. During the week of the young child, they're having families in for this concert at Parkside. It's April 3rd from 5:30 to 6:30, and families come in the childhood doors, and there'll be a fun concert to come and enjoy. Board members, you're of course welcome to come to that too. At Southview, a few things there. He talks about their OLA training continuing. They're wrapping that up. Second graders had a reading contest this last month for I Love to Read month. Teachers added up the number of minutes that student read during the week, and they compare it to other classrooms, like a little contest. This month, they're also voting for their favorite books. There's a huge March Madness bracket hanging in the hallway when you go over there. It looks like a basketball court, and they've got brackets to figure out the best book, I guess, to come and read at Southview. So looking for some good book suggestions. The kids have some fun ideas up there. I was over there today and saw that. Fourth graders, it's the Wax Museum projects. I think we've all had kids go through those. That's a fun project. They're presenting. It's been going on the last couple of weeks. Teachers have family and friends coming in to watch that as the kids present their speeches. It's always a fun thing. Kids are preparing some benchmarks and skills. They work on some standard things that kids are doing tied into that. So fun project there. At the middle school, the first thing she highlights is the Winter Orchestra concert. I think you heard the music taking place. I believe our Popcorn and Jazz has probably started. It's that time of day already. They had Winter Orchestra that took place end of February. It's just a testament to the strength of our music program. Under the guidance of Wes Meyers, orchestra just is doing a great job. He does a really nice job with the kids, K through our fourth grade all the way through our senior high. She also shares that Charles Mueller Thompson, he's an 8th grader, he earned a spot in the National Spelling Bee by winning a state spelling bee. He's going to head to Maryland in May to compete on the national stage, so congratulations to Charles with that. Math team at the middle school also made us proud by advancing to the state math counts competition. After a second place finish at the regional level, Sawyer Bresnahan, Ryan Larson, and Charles Mueller Thompson and Carter Price earned a trip to state. The mathletes have done a great job at the middle school again this year as well. Finally, at the middle school, she shares that on March 6th, we had a visit from the SMSU Chemistry Club. They came in and put on 2 presentations for the students demonstrating some chemical reactions and just getting kids excited about basic chemistry concepts. So it was a fun thing the science teachers brought in at the middle school. High school, Brian notes registration was recently completed for the 25-26 school year. I know Sarah and I were talking earlier, it's just hard to believe we're that time of the year, but registrations are in at the high school. Early in the process, now they're starting to build master schedule and deciding, how many sections we need and which blocks things are going to happen, that kind of thing. So a lot of work to do with that yet, but the student registration piece is in. So that's the first piece we need in place to move forward. As Sarah mentioned earlier, the students have submitted their scholarship applications. They were due Monday, March 10th. That committee will be meeting early in April, selecting the recipients of the Pride in the Tiger scholarships. I do encourage board members, mark your calendars. The ceremony is scheduled for May 14th at 7 p.m. at the high school. It's always a really nice event, and I know there's just so much support in our community for our kids. Lots of money being given to our kids and these scholarship opportunities, and really a testament to the support our community gives our schools. Finally, Brian notes that on Friday, March 21st, it's this Friday, we have a noon dismissal for students. We're planning a special event. We have our job fair. I think this is the 3rd year we've done that job fair. This year we have over 70 local, regional, and national businesses coming for to be present at that job fair. So huge turnout this year. It's been a fun event for the kids, learning about different job opportunities that exist within the community. Some of these businesses are there. Students are actually applying for and interviewing for jobs at the event, and some of them are just learning more about some opportunities that are out there. So it's ties right in with the work that our CTE program is doing. I want to give a big thank you to Shanda Walker. She does a lot of work. She's our community connector. Does a lot of work making those connections and getting businesses in. So over 70 is just overwhelming. It's huge turnout. I think we're even using both gyms this year.
Correct. And our ALC students will be attending as well.
Yeah, so all secondary students will be attending. So that's all morning, really, on the morning of Friday the 21st. So board, if you want to come and check that out, you're welcome to stop by. Some of you are probably there with your places of work as well. So that'll be a good event. ALC, he shares the big thank you to Dave Kraft. He's been helping us out at CTI teaching through the month of February. Also, we found a couple teachers, Gary Van Overbeck and Travis Parody will be coming in. We're just working on some final licensure things. The highlight that he shares, that Emily has that picture up, one of the things we've talked about is the job component really with CTI. The fire pit ring that's on the screen up there, that's something the students are making at CTI. So we've got one that's been produced, but the idea is the students will continue to make those, and we'll have some available for sale to generate some funds to help buy additional supplies and such. But I know that we just pulled up in the office. It's, this is really cool. And like 3 people pop in my office. Oh, how much are they? And I want to buy one. So I think they won't be able to make them fast enough. But very cool to see the kids putting these things together and just some really high quality things coming out of that program. So excited to see that happening there. Going on in her report this month, Jackie talks about speech therapists. She highlights kind of one department each month. Speech therapists continue to work in intervention processes throughout the district, streamlining the referral process for general ed teachers and problem-solving teams. That process allows us to identify any students that have educational, articulation, or language concerns. The speech therapists this year have also been working on the letters and OLA training, depending on which age of students they work with. As they complete those trainings, they're starting to integrate the phonological awareness into the speech therapy sessions, which supports the development of reading skills. It's really strengthening that connection between speech and reading, providing better overall literacy, which is the whole point of the READ Act and the work we're doing there. So a really positive thing taking place there. I'm hearing a lot of teachers as they're wrapping up that training, talking about how they're applying that and what they're thinking for next year to apply the skills they're learning in there. So a lot of good things coming out of that training this year. In her report this month, Mary Kay talks about the American Indian Spring event for Marshall Public Schools and our American Indian families. We have a date tentatively set for May 7th. That's also at the high school. APAC is working to complete the agenda and get some cultural events. So once they finalize everything, we'll have a more formal invite coming out. But you can sketch down May 7th was the date we're looking at to do that. She also shares they're planning summer school for this summer. We have staffing pretty much in place for the targeted services program. That's the elementary middle school program. Seeking some student enrollments now. That's the next step with that. The summer programming this year is going to be at Southview Elementary with sessions in June and July. A lot of things and activities, so a few things that Mitch highlights. First is Jazz Band. The high school jazz band recently participated in the Upper Great Plains Festival at Augustana University. The event provided a fantastic opportunity for students to showcase talents. Special congratulations to Scott Griebel, who received a citation for musical excellence in recognition of his outstanding improv. Scott does a great job. If you've seen him at the concerts, he stands up and does a really nice job with his saxophone. Wrestling, both our team and individual wrestlers qualified for state tournament at the Xcel Energy Center. It was the program's first team appearance since 2018. The team finished 6th place overall, and on the individual side, well, we had several medalists, including state champion Lincoln Christensen. So that was a big event for Lincoln. Congratulations to him and all of our wrestlers and coaching staff for their hard work and dedication. BPA has had a really successful spring as well. They had a strong showing at the state event in Minneapolis, sending 42 participants to compete in various competitions. An outstanding 16 students qualified for the national conference, which will take place in Orlando this May. Additionally, Anna DeGroot and AJ Runchi-Smalley earned the prestigious Statesman Torch Awards and were recognized at the Ambassador Torch Awards at Nationals. So congratulations to those students on their achievements. I know we have one board member that's particularly proud of some of those kids. Knowledge Bowl. The Knowledge Bowl program has another remarkable season as well, continuing success with an excellent performance at the regional competition at SMSU. Marshall dominated the event, sweeping the podium. 3 of our teams have qualified for state competition later this spring that will be in Brainerd. Boys basketball. The basketball team made a strong playoff run, returning to section finals for the first time since 2021. In addition to the on-court success, the team was also recognized as a top academic team in the section, an achievement that highlights the dedication both athletically and academically. So well done to the boys basketball team. I'm not done yet. Math League, the high school math team participated in state event just this past week. The team did a great job there as well, but finished just outside the podium. Congratulations to Jack Gunn. He was a top scorer for the team at the tournament. Excellent work to those coaches and participants. And finally, the girls basketball team. They had a phenomenal season. They placed second in state this past weekend. Additionally, the assistant coach Steph Bott was honored as Section Assistant Coach of the Year for her contributions to the program. They had a community welcome home celebration on Saturday evening when the girls got back there. So lots of things taking place with activities, just lots of success. So congratulations to all of our kids. Teaching and learning. Beth shares again about the job fair. That's Friday, March 21st. She also shares the CEO trade show. That is scheduled for Wednesday, April 30th. That's another event for CEO students. We haven't had them at the board meeting this year, but they will be highlighting their individual businesses. That is from 5 o'clock until 6:30. And this year that's going to be held at the Tyler Golf Club. There's area schools that are part of that CEO program. So new location this year, but I know the kids are really excited to show off the businesses. And they'll, of course, will be selling product and services and everything will be available. So come to that, bring your checkbooks. Finance. Sarah, we didn't talk about, I guess I'll read through yours.
Sure.
Okay. The insurance committee met on February 27th with consultants from the National Insurance Services. NIS team presented the latest quarterly medical claims review. Going out for bid to insurance carriers this month, we have a final opening for that on March 20th. So we're looking for what those final rates are going to be and the options that we have available to us. And then we'll discuss plans and the best carrier rates for 25-26 to present at the school board for your approval in April. Sarah also shares the state sets the general ed formula allowance based on the consumer price index with a minimum of 2% and maximum 3%. This was a change in legislation just recently. So it's the first time kind of running through what that's going to look like. The final adjusted allowance, it was a 2.74% increase to the formula allowance. So we know that for next year, it's $7,481 as adjusted pupil unit will be it's a $200 per APU increase over the formula allowance from 25. Finally, in Trisha's report, she shares first an update from Taher. They introduced some exciting new recipes at the high school and the middle school. We had buffalo chicken lasagna recently. Both schools had tachos. We had Philly cheesesteak sandwiches. I'm hungry, so these all sound amazing right now. She also shares that Pia Mua and herself, they're meeting with each building principal, starting a list of summer projects, what needs to take place at each of the sites just to maintain facilities. Once they have all that information, then we'll get some bids and prioritize projects and see what all can work into the LTFM projects for this summer. Last thing for today is George Mercy. He's been a custodian with our district for more than 32 years. George was at the high school I think he started at the high school, was there for a lot of years. He's currently at the ALC. He has announced his retirement. March 28th is his last day with the district. So just really thankful for many years that George has given to Marshall Public Schools. His meticulous work, you walk through a building that George is in, and he does a great job. He really takes pride in the work he does, keeping everything safe and clean. And we wish him well in his adventures. We're going to miss George. That's what I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Jeremy. Our next item and final item is an action item, approval of the seniority list.
So moved.
I'll second.
There's a motion by Sarah Runcie and a second by Jeff to approve the seniority list. Any discussion?
Sure, this is the annual update for the EA list. It's the same list, just sorted in a couple different ways in there. So sorted by seniority date, sorted by name, and sorted by license code. So you can look at it different ways.
All right, I'll call for the vote. And that is approved. And the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.